What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet. And today we have another edition of the Overthinking MTG podcast, the unscripted, unedited show where I look at an individual Magic card and we talk about it for a while. Now, there were a number of spoilers that were given out for March of the Machine at Magic Con Philadelphia. And over the next few days, I definitely want to take a look at a number of those and really break them down and see where can we use them. Are they good? Are they not good? How cool is the flavor on these things, which is the case in a lot of them. And today, I specifically wanted to talk about, I want to kind of get things started, if you will, with Ghalta and Mavren. Now, one of the things that they are doing with March of the Machine is they are doing mashup cards, where they're taking two legendary creatures from a particular plane. It does appear that they all come from the same plane of origin. And they take these two legendary characters, and they depict them teaming up on one card and doing stuff, fighting the Phyrexians, presumably on their home plane. So here we have from Ixalan, Ghalta and Mavren. Now, Mavren Fein is a vampire that is on Ixalan, and Ghalta, previously, the Primal Hunger was the previous card, is a giant dinosaur. And that's basically what we got. So we have a vampire that is known for creating vampire tokens that have lifelink when it attacks. So that's okay, cool. And then we have a dinosaur that's a gigantic trampling dinosaur. And that's about all we got. Like, Ghalta is just huge. Its cost is reduced based on the power of your other creatures, so it does care about the power of your team. That is a relevant mechanic as far as Ghalta is concerned. So, what happens when Ghalta and Mavren Fein get together and team up, do a thing? Well, what we get is a legendary creature dinosaur vampire for 3 green, green, white, white. So 7 total, 2 green, 2 white. 12/12 trample. Those are Ghalta's original stats. Love to see it. Whenever you attack, choose one. Create a tapped and attacking XX green dinosaur creature token with trample, where X is the greatest power among other attacking creatures. Or create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is the greatest number of other attacking creatures. So we have this cool ability where, on the one hand, it's kind of like a rabble-rousing effect, where if you're attacking with 5 things and Ghalta, you get 5 1/1 vampires. Now, in this case, they have lifelink, which is true of a lot of the Ixalan vampires, like the white-aligned ones anyway. So sweet, with that kind of fits flavorfully. And it just helps you go wide. Now, note, if you make the vampires, they don't attack, or they don't enter the battlefield attacking. They are untapped. They're on defense, ready to block. Now, if you make the dinosaurs, you get one dinosaur, and it's big, based on however big the other thing is you have attacking, and that dinosaur is tapped and attacking, and it's also a trampler. So you can build this a number of different ways. It would be very easy for you to build Ghalta as kind of a go wide commander, where this is kind of the top end drop, make the team, make the team way bigger than it was previously. So you're attacking with 20 creatures this turn, but next turn you have 40 online, or 30 after some die in combat, or whatever the case may be. Just help the team get super duper wide and get a bunch of lifelink in the process. Dope. Great things are happening. Or you can go big trample. You can go with large creatures and get trample, or you can do best of both worlds, and you can use cards that get bigger based on the number of creatures you have. I know there are cards like Heedless One from back in the day, which is it's power and toughness are equal to the number of elves you control. So you go super wide and it gets super big, and then you have the pick of the litter with Ghalta and Mavren. When you attack, you have another big thing attacking. So you could just make a huge trampler and go in for the kill, or you could flesh out your team and brace for impact on the following turn, or set up for a future victory by just establishing more of a board state. I think that's amazing. I also love the fact, I've noticed in recent design, there's kind of this philosophy in Magic cards where if a creature costs 1, kind of its base stats are 1/1. If you deviate from that, you gotta have a good reason, and maybe there's a downside if it's bigger or whatever, or it's just pushed. This is the case nowadays. But seeing a 2/2 for 1 is a big deal. Same is true a 2 mana. 2/2 is kind of the base stats, and you kind of get around that. 3, 3, 3, etc. Obviously there are counterexamples, and they've been kind of playing with that recently. But in general, when you look at a card, if somebody sees a 4/4 for 4, they say, oh, it's on rate. Meaning that body makes sense for that part of the curve. Cool. It seems like Wizards has decided that once you get to like 6 and 7 mana, all bets are off and the stats will just be whatever. Because like a 12/12 Trampler for 7, even with 4 colored pips of 2 different colors, like, because that casting cost is relevant. Like, that isn't something you can just jam in like a 5-color good stuff deck and just hope for the best. Because in that situation, you're probably not going to be dropping this on 7. Now, if you're in a Selesnya deck, or even a 3-color deck that happens to have green and white, like Abzan, for example, or Naya, if you happen to be in those colors, yeah, Ghalta could still totally fit in and you would be fine. But, you know, you'll probably be able to play it on curve in those decks, but even then, you might have some draws where you can't. So it's one of those things where the casting cost is relevant, but this thing is so much bigger than its casting cost. Like, its stats are so huge for its cost. Like, it blows my mind. Which, granted, to be fair, in some decks, the original Ghalta was a 12/12 Trampler for 2 because of its cost reduction clause. So I guess it's kind of fitting with the character. Like, that's kind of appropriate. So I dig that. Also, the other thing that I would be remiss if I did not point out was the artwork on this thing. So the artwork depicts Ghalta as we know her, like just being big and imposing, and like actually it looks like she's straight up like crushing Phyrexians like underfoot, just like running through them, and they are just nothing compared to her, which is not surprising. She's a real big dinosaur. And you see Mavren like perched on like her brow, like on top of her head, kind of like it seemed to have some kind of like rope tied to one of her like front horns on her nose. This is like kind of a little bridal situation, but he's standing, it looks like, and very like yippee-ki-yay, like riding this thing. Cool. Reminds me a lot of the Mumkills, the Oliphants, whatever, the elephant monsters from Return of the King. When in the film, the way that they put those to film, this very much has that vibe. And on that front, there's like this building on Ghalta's back for some reason. There's like this like house back there. I'm assuming that there are like archers and crap in that, because like war elephants are a thing, and like some kind of mounting for other soldiers on them, because you can clearly fit way more than just one up there. Like, I'm assuming it's that. But the other thing that really blows my mind, this looks like that structure reminds me a lot of Siege Rhino. And so as a result, I will forever call this card Siege Dino. You can't stop me. Ghalta and Mavren from March of the Machine is now officially, I'm saying it now, Siege Dino. Anyway, I think this card's rad. It's big. It's like decently costed for what you get. Like 7 is a lot. 7's a lot to get to, but like in Commander with like a decent amount of ramp, you can rock this out on turn 5 pretty easily and possibly even have mana back to protect it. Like, you know, it's not bad. I think this is a very reasonable card for what it does. It's powerful without being too dumb. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, it's a vampire. This card is a legendary vampire. And as a result, if you're using 3-mana Sorin from one of the recent core sets, I believe it was core set 20, there was a Sorin Planeswalker that has an ability to place a vampire from your hand onto the battlefield. You can cheat this in with that. So you could get a Ghalta and Mavren online on turn 3. So if your opponent is thinking, all right, I think I got this, I'm off to a good start, and you're just like, cool, Planeswalker down tick, Siege Dino. Now, what you gonna do, buddy? Also of note, if you reanimate this with an Olivia Crimson Bride and they kill the Olivia, Ghalta and Mavren stick around. Now, you'll notice that the creatures that Olivia reanimates say that if at no point you don't control a legendary vampire, exile them. Well, Ghalta and Mavren happen to be a legendary vampire. So, like, in a lot of situations, like, you reanimate a huge monster, like original Ghalta, say, with Olivia, your opponent could, like, bounce Olivia, and then Ghalta goes to exile. And that feels real bad. That doesn't happen here with Ghalta and Mavren. Like, this card's awesome. I love it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the show. I appreciate it very, very much. This has been another edition of the Overthinking MTG podcast, available on YouTube and anywhere fine podcasts are sold. By that I mean, you know, are freely available on the internet. So, thank you so much. I'll catch you on the next one.